Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Srila Gurudev ki Jai. We'll be reading from Chaitanya Charitamrta, Madhya Leela, chapter number 9, verse number 305. Would you like to repeat, Vaishnav, when I say? Vaishnav. Will you repeat when I sing? Hare Krishna. Brahmana Samaja Sabha Vaishnava Charita. Vaishnava Sakala Pade Krishna Karnamrita. Brahmana Samaja Sabha Vaishnava Charita. Vaishnava Sakala Pade Krishna Karnamrita. Brahmana Samaja Sabha Vaishnava Charita. Vaishnava Sakala Pade Krishna Karnamrita. Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. The Brahmana community there was composed of pure devotees. They regularly studied a book entitled Krishna Karnamrta, which was composed by Bilwa Mangal Thakur. Purport. This book, composed by Bilwa Mangal Thakur in 112 verses, this book was composed by Bilwa Mangal Thakur in 112 verses. There are 2 or 3 other books bearing the same name, and there are also 2 commentaries on Bilwa Mangal's book. One commentary was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and the other by Chaitanya Das Goswami. We'll continue to read few more verses. Verse number 306. Krishna Karnamrita Shuni Prabhur Ananda Hoila. Agraha Kariya Punthi Lekhana Laila. Krishna Karnamrita Shuni Prabhur Ananda Hoila. Agraha Kariya Punthi Lekhana Laila. Translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to hear the book Krishna Karnamrita, and with great eagerness he had it copied and took it with him. So he did not take the original manuscript. He copied it and then he took it. Verse number 307. Karnamrita samavastu nahi tribhuvane yaha haite yaha Krishna suddha prema jnane. Translation. There is no comparison to the Krishna Karnamrita within the three worlds. By studying this book, one is elevated to the knowledge of pure devotional service to Krishna. 308. Saundarya madhurya Krishna lilara avadhi sei jane ye karnamrita pade niravadhi. Translation. One who constantly reads the Krishna Karnamrita can fully understand the beauty and melodious taste of the pastimes of Krishna. 309. Brahma Samhita Karnamrita Dui Punthi Pana Maharatna Praya Pai Aila Shangalana. Translation. The Brahma Samhita and Krishna Karnamrita were two books that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered to be most valuable jewels. Therefore, he took them with him on his return trip. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So I thought, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Radhana Swami Nitinamane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Nitinamane. I seek the blessings of all the devotees so that I may be able to speak something which can take us closer to Krishna in our endeavors. If we assume there is a diamond which has been lying in an open area, and for several years dust has been accumulated in it, that dust does not minimize the value of the diamond. Similarly, our relationship with Krishna, with the spiritual master, with the devotees, is like a diamond. And sometimes, not sometimes, many times we get carried away by so many distractions, and there is dust in that relationship. Even we experience in day-to-day life, if we have a wife, husband, children, friends, if we don't invest in that relationship, over a period of time, dust accumulates. So when we invest, we clean the dust, then the relationship remains fresh. So ultimately, our relationship with Guru and Krishna is dusted because we haven't cleansed it for so many lifetimes. And that's why Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Well, let's try to see what we can speak and understand about Bilwa Mangal Thakur. He was a Brahmana, a South Indian Brahmana and a very, very rich person. And in those days, not all, but some people would maintain a prostitute. And her name was Chintamani. And he was very, very, very attached to Chintamani. Once his father, he left his body and he was performing the final rites with the help of another Brahmana. And his desire to be with Chintamani was so strong that he was telling the Brahmana to hurry up and finish the rites as soon as possible. Can you imagine? His father died. And then as soon as it got over, he left immediately. And as soon as he left his home, there was torrential rain falling. It was like a storm. That also did not stop him. He kept walking and walking and walking. And then he reached a river which was overflowing. And no boatman was willing to cross the river. So at that time he saw a log of wood. And he jumped over that log of wood. And he crossed the river, taking its help. Once he crossed the river, when he went to Chintamani's house, because she was not expecting him to come, the weather was so bad. She had already closed the door. When he reached the door, he saw it locked. He could not wait. And he started looking how to enter the house through a window. So he saw a rope hanging. And taking the help of that rope, he climbed and he entered the house through the window. When Chintamani saw him, she was so astonished. She said, you are, in today's world we can say, you are crazy. That was his intensity. And then she told him, the log of wood which you used to cross the river, in some places I heard it was a crocodile, and in some places I heard it was a dead body. So he did not realize that it was a dead body which he took shelter of to cross the river. And then it was not the rope, it was a snake. He took the snake's help to enter, to climb the house and through the window and enter the house. That was his intensity. That was his absorption. And that was his expectation that she would fulfill his desires. But she was so astonished, and the Chintamani, the prostitute, she told Bilwa Mangal Thakur, if you would have desired to see Krishna with the same intensity, Krishna would have appeared in front of you. And as soon as Bilwa Mangal Thakur, he heard this, he paid obeisances and he left Chintamani. So Chintamani eventually became his Path Pradaksha Guru, we can say. So she was his spiritual master. So many times in life, Krishna is sending us help. He is sending us guidance. He is sending so many ways. He is speaking through so many devotees. Sometimes he speaks through husband. Sometimes he speaks through wife. Sometimes he speaks through children, friends, enemy, colleagues. He is speaking to us all the time. Only thing is, we are not able to hear. When I was small, I went to a Christian school, and every day during the morning prayers, one of the prayer was, there are those who have eyes but refuse to see. And there are those who have ears but they refuse to hear. And somehow I remembered that prayer even till now. I used to like it so much. But now after coming to Krishna consciousness, I understood the purport of that prayer. So yes, we have material eyes, but we are spiritually blind. Yes, we have material ears, but we cannot hear anything related to the Lord. So that's why, if we are grateful, if we are sincere, and if we are genuine, we are a genuine seeker, Krishna will provide all the help. Guru Krishna Kripa Pai, Bhakti Lata Beej. Krishna arranges for the spiritual master to appear in our life. And then, after getting this instruction, Bilwa Mangal Thakur, he started his journey to Vrindavan. And then on the way, while going to Vrindavan, he saw a lady taking bath in the pond. And he again got attracted to her. And when the lady she saw that there is a sadhu who is, he was already transformed, but again his conditioning came in. The lady when she saw that there is a sadhu who is staring at her, she immediately completed her bathing, wore her dress, and then started going home. And Bilwa Mangal Thakur, he started following. And when she entered the house, he stood outside waiting, somehow to fulfill his desire. The lady, she explained to her husband, that there is a sadhu who is following me from the pond and even came to our house. And the husband, he was so pious. He said, if you are saying he is a sadhu, he is a devotee of the Lord, we should please him. So he went outside and he inquired from Bilwa Mangal Thakur, how we can serve you, how we can please you. And then Bilwa Mangal Thakur, shamelessly, he expressed his desire. He said, I want to embrace your wife. And then, we cannot imitate all these things which we are saying. These are the olden times. The husband requested his wife to please go ahead and fulfill his desire. And then when the lady, she came in front of Bilwa Mangal Thakur, he felt so ashamed. He requested her, please give me the hairpins if you have, my dear mother. So his conditioning was so strong, but Lord was reminding him from within. And when the lady gave him the hairpins, he used the same hairpins to poke his eyes. And he became blind. And then he thought that, these are the eyes which are distracting me again and again and keeping me away from Krishna, from progressing in my devotional service. So that was his intensity to enjoy. And then after being transformed, that was his intensity to keep going forward in Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita there are two verses, 9:30 and 9:31. Api che soduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhur eva samantavya samyak vivasito hisa. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Shipram bhavati dharmatma sasvat chintim nigacchati konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranishyati. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. In the Shri Sampradaya there is another great devotee. His name was Kuresh. He was the disciple of Ramanujacharya. And then in order to protect his spiritual master, he sacrificed his eyes because the king wanted to kill Ramanujacharya because he was a threat to his being the king. So the king wanted to kill Ramanujacharya. In order to protect Ramanujacharya, Kuresh, he dressed up as Ramanujacharya. And then instead of following Ramanujacharya, the soldiers of the king, they followed Kuresh. And when they saw him, they poked his eyes. Ramanujacharya was so pleased with Kuresh, he said, please ask to restore your eyes. But Kuresh, he refused. He did not pray for his material vision to be restored. And upon persistent request from Ramanujacharya, just like Lord Nrsingadev, he was persistently requesting from Prahlad Maharaj, please ask something. And Prahlad Maharaj was saying, no, I'm not a businessman. And eventually he asked for the welfare of his father. So similarly, Kuresh, he asked for the spiritual vision, for him to be able to see the form of Lord Vardharaj and Ramanujacharya. These are the only two things he desired to see. And if we think, our eyes actually, it's an instrument of distraction. In the current time and age, there are so many weapons of mass destruction. Like we have atom bombs and so many things. And similarly, there are so many weapons of mass distraction which distract us from remembering Krishna. So that's the factor which was, you know, taken by Bilva Mangal Thakur, his intensity to enjoy eventually transformed. With the same intensity, he desired to see and serve Krishna. And then the Lord reciprocated. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you know, there is the description, you know, where it says, and it speaks about lolyam. And lolyam means intense greed. And it says, in other words, one should learn how to cry for the Lord. One should learn this small technique, and he should be very eager and actually cry to become engaged in some particular type of service. This is called lolya. And such tears are the price for highest perfection. If one develops this lolya or excessive eagerness for meeting and serving the Lord in a particular way, that is the price to enter into the kingdom of God. Otherwise, there is no material calculation for the value of the ticket by which one can enter the kingdom of God. The only price for such entrance is this lolya lalasamai, or desire and great eagerness. You know, if we want to judge ourselves, sometimes, you know, we should assess ourselves, how we are doing. And one of the barometer can be, you know, how eager we are to take our bead bag and start chanting. You know, how eager we are to grab on any opportunity which comes to serve the Lord or His devotees. How eager we are to please Guru and Krishna. So that is the price of going back home, back to Godhead. On the same lines, in Madhya Leela also, there is one verse which speaks the same. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavita mati kriyatam yadi kuto api labhyate tatra lolyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukruterna labhyate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activities in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. So again, that intense greed. So this was the story of Bilva Mangal Thakur. And then there are prayers here in Caitanya Caritamrta. It mentions Krishna Karnamrita. And similarly, there is another song which devotees sing. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. That song as well is composed by Bilva Mangal Thakur. And there is another one, the Chaurashtakam, which is composed by Bilva Mangal Thakur. I thought I'll took one verse from these compositions, and we will try to see, you know, how much Bilva Mangal Thakur he relished the process of devotional service. And actually he was so advanced that he could see Krishna's pastimes. Krishna would engage with him, come. He could not see, but Krishna would come. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, don't try to see Krishna. Serve Krishna in such a way that he wants to see you. And Bilvamangal Thakur was that kind of a devotee, that Krishna wanted to see him. So I selected, like Krishna Karnamrit has 112 verses as mentioned in the purport. And this is the verse number 112. I don't know the meter, how to sing, but I'll try. Anugraha dviguna vishala lochaner ansmuram mridu murali ravamrite yato yata prasharati me vilochanam tatas tatas purat tataiva vaibhavanam. O Krishna, always remembering the nectareous, low, soft sounds of your flute, as well as your eyes, doubly expanded with mercy, I pray that wherever my sight shall wander, you will always manifest your beauty, sweetness, and opulence before me. So that's the stage of a pure devotee. He sees Krishna everywhere. Prahlad Maharaj, he saw Krishna everywhere. The gopis, when Uddhav, he thought of teaching them about Krishna consciousness. And when he saw the gopis meditating, and upon inquiry, the gopis replied, we're not trying to remember, we are trying to forget Krishna. That was the level of devotion of the gopis. They cannot forget Krishna. They see Krishna in every situation, every circumstance, everywhere. Generally, when we are taking prasadam, if there are some leftovers remaining, even if we are full, if we see a gulab jamun, an ice cream, there is always some space. There is no limit, how much we can relish. I don't know why I gave that example. The situation and circumstances in life. Thank you for reminding me. So it's easy to take prasadam, which is sweet, which is fresh. But even the red chili, the green chili is also prasad, tasted by Krishna, but we avoid it. We just leave it. Similarly, we have so many situations which come in our life. Sometimes success, sometimes failure, sometimes happiness, sometimes distress. And we should consider all of that as Krishna's prasad. It is arrangement of Krishna that any particular situation has come in our life. And if we see it that way, we progress toward Krishna. So we should not be selective. If everything is good, this is Krishna's mercy. And if some devotee, punctures our ego and we start blaspheming, that is also Krishna's mercy. Krishna is telling us something. We just need to hear properly. And the second song is, the Govind Damo Daramadhaveti. Agre Kurunam Atha Pandavanam Dushasanena Artha Vastrikesha Krishna Tadakroshad Ananyanatha Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. And the translation is, before the assembled Kurus and Pandavas, when Dushasan caught her hair and clothing, Krishna, this is another name of Draupadi, Krishna, having no other lord, cried out, Govinda Damodara Govinda Damodara Madhava. So we can understand the desperation in which Draupadi, she must be praying. She was the queen. She was the wife of Yudhishthir Maharaj and the other Pandavas. And she was the queen. And she is being pulled into an assembly of other people in the assembly, and she was being stripped naked in front of all the people. And at that time, none of her husbands, none of the elders, no one could come to her rescue because of several reasons. Everybody had their own so-called reasons. They could not come for her help. They did not. It's not they could not, they did not. There is always a choice. And then Krishna appeared in the form of sari, and he protected Draupadi. But if we can imagine the intensity in which she was calling out, Govinda, Damodara, Madhava. So that's the intensity we need to call out Krishna. It's easy to forget Krishna, when everything is going nice. In the US Army, there is a saying, those who don't bleed, those who don't sweat at the time of training, they bleed at the time of war. So when things are good, we should perform our sadhana, our service with great intensity and as much as purity and with a desire, intense desire to please Krishna. Otherwise, when the storms will come in our life, if we are not deep-rooted, the tree of our devotional service will be blown away, and we will leave Krishna consciousness. We should never assume that no, I am very advanced, I will never leave Krishna consciousness. We don't know what things may come in our life. So we should practice our sadhana, we should chant our rounds, we should read Srila Prabhupada books, we should hear from advanced devotees and nourish ourselves and go deep and deep and deep in our Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we get carried away, and we are only practicing Krishna consciousness on the surface because that is what is appreciated. If someone is doing a lot of services, that is appreciated, and we should do to our best capacity to please and serve, but not at the cost of our chanting, our hearing, our service. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time. We will start thinking, why me? There are so many other devotees, why I am being called for the service? So these are the symptoms we should uh, take seriously. Just like there is a red light before the battery eventually dies, the green light turns red. So similarly, these are the symptoms which come if we are losing taste in chanting, if we don't have desire to serve, if we don't have desire to read Srila Prabhupada books, if we don't have desire to hear from advanced devotees, it's a symptom that we are at risk and we should go back to the basics. Sometimes we are enthusiastic to do so many other things, but we ignore the basics of our Krishna consciousness. And then the final one is the Chaurashtakam. And it's a very nice song, devotees they sing. We can see when we can sing as well, but the first paragraph is Vraje prasiddham navanita choram gopangananam chadukha choram aneka janmarjita papa choram chauragraganyam purusham namami. So Chaurashtaka means Lord here is being glorified as a thief. No one glorifies a thief. You capture him and we put him in the prison. But here it says, I offer pranam to that foremost of thieves, who is famous in Vraja as the butter thief, and he who steals the gopis' clothes, and who, for those who take shelter of him, steals the sins which have accrued over many lifetimes. So all glories to the supreme thief. So we can read all these 8 verses when we have time. Thank you very much. These are some of the points which I could gather. If there are any corrections or comments, please. Mr. Bhagavan Prabhu. While the mic comes, I'll read the second one. Shri Radhikaye Ridrasya Choram Navam Buddha Shamala Kanti Choram Padashritanam Cha Samasta Choram Chaurangraganyam Purusham Namami. I offer pranam to the foremost of thieves, who steals Srimati Radhika's heart, who steals the dark luster of a fresh rain cloud, and who steals all the sins and sufferings of those who take shelter of his feet. Yes, Mr. Bhagwan Prabhuji.
You said that the king wanted to kill Ramanujacharya, and we know that Ramanujacharya also had many attempts on his life. I know that he had trouble finding a cook that wouldn't poison the food. He fed a bird and the bird died, so that he knew the food was poisoned. And then you were talking about the king trying to kill him, and what is it about Ramanujacharya that makes people so upset? He's obviously a nice person. He has thousands of disciples. He has no animosity towards anybody. So why are these people so upset with him?
I'll attempt to answer this question. We are in this world because of envy. And the degree of envy varies from person to person. And the enviousness of the king and the fear of the king to lose his fame And seeing someone else getting appreciated, respected, it's a threat to my position. It's a threat to my glory. And that's why anyone who comes on my way to success and glory must be eliminated, is my enemy. That's how a materialistic person thinks. But a devotee, his vision is any great things a person is able to do is Krishna himself, because Krishna is the ability in man. So devotee, he is not envious because he is seeing in that ability, it's Krishna's ability, it's Krishna's empowerment. But a materialistic person, whenever we see someone who is wealthy, famous, there is some degree of enviousness. And all these things are just the manifestations of that. And the root cause of envy, it's causeless, our foolishness. But the medicine is the service to the Lord. And when we experience the sweetness, the warmth of the Lord, we lose all our enviousness. On our own, we cannot get rid of it. But with the help of devotees, with the help of the spiritual master, with the help of guidance, when opportunity knocks, most people, they complain about the noise. When someone is trying to cure our envy, we start complaining. Rather, we should try to see Lord's hand. We tolerate mistreatment on ourselves, but if it is for our spiritual master or other devotees, we should try to defend. We should try to protect. But for us, it's okay, we should be callous. But the problem is the other way. When someone else is being criticized, we jump in and we want to criticize as well. And when someone is being glorified, we're thinking, why him, why not me? So, this is, I'm just thinking at the root level. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the discussion. Yes, Mataji.
I just want to share a reflection, Prabhuji. You were talking about how gopis were trying hard to forget Krishna, and because they are so absorbed, it's kind of addiction. They're so attracted to Krishna. So I was thinking how unfortunate I am. Like, suppose when any element in this material world is all associated with Krishna's pastime, I need to try so hard to think of Krishna and forget the material impressions I have. For example, if I look at rain, I would remember me playing in the rain in my childhood rather than Govardhan pastime. You're talking about prasad. When I look at prasad, I would think of hunger or eating rather than, oh, it's honored by the Supreme Lord. So that was a reflection I was having. It's like opposite.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for re-emphasizing. And I'm in the same boat, and I'm also trying. At least theoretically I know, but when it actually happens, it's hard several times. But at least if we know what is right, what is the goal, we will start taking steps in that direction. So thank you so much for re-emphasizing. Hare Krishna. Thank you very, very much. Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.